Aatrox is a testosterone-driven angry demon. He is a simp destroyer, ender of weaves, and a master of calm. He wields a giant sword, but does not suffer from small PP syndrome like Tryndamere players. Nor does he attempt to be a sexy female character. He is a respectable and honorable champion like Darius and Mordekaiser. As of making this video, Aatrox is in the best state he has ever been in, as he is one of the best top laners right now. And if you're gonna tell me that a website says otherwise, I'll be honest with you, I do not care what the stats of an underdeveloped website states. If they can't track the size of your balls, then they aren't meant to be taken seriously. Now having said that, let's get into the guide. Starting with your passive, Deathbringer stance. Aatrox periodically empowers his next basic attack, gaining bonus attack range and deals physical damage based on target's maximum health, and heals for 100% of the damage dealt post mitigation. The healing is reduced to 25% on minions and small monsters. The cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds if you damage an enemy champion or a large monster with your auto attacks or abilities. 4 seconds if you hit them with a sweet spot on your Qs. To get the most value out of this in laning phase, if you can't use it on a champion, use it on minions with larger HP pools, such as Cannon. It will heal you the most, followed by the melee minion and then the caster minion. The Darkened Blade. You slam down your sword, dealing physical damage. You are able to swing it a total of 3 times, each being different and dealing more damage. This ability is your main source of damage and healing. You also have this thing called Sweet Spot. A Sweet Spot is a part of your Q that deals more damage and briefly knocks up targets. Once you cast your Q, you have 4 seconds to recast your Q, otherwise it would expire. One really important detail is that when you cast the Q, the cooldown starts. But if you recast it with the follow-up Q, the cooldown will reset. Meaning, each time you press Q, you are restarting the ability's cooldown. If you let it expire, the cooldown will be back up sooner. And this is one of the main things I see on new Aatrox players. They do not know that the ability behaves this way, which is unfortunate since the game does not tell you at all. And I wish Riot clarified this in the tooltip. Infernal Chains. Aatrox fires a skill shot that damages the first target hit. If the target is a champion or a large monster, a tether is formed for 1.5 seconds. An area pops up, and if they don't leave the impact area for the end of the duration, they get pulled back to the center and take damage once again. This is a crucial ability. It allows you to land your other Qs with ease. To have an easier time landing this ability, knock them up with your first Q, and then while they are unable to move, cast Infernal Chains. Your third ability, Umbral Dash, provides you with a passive and an active. For the passive, you heal for percentage of the damage you deal to champions, and for the active, you simply dash in a targeted direction. I also want to clarify, once again, Riot fails at clarifying the tooltip. It says that you gain Omnivamp, but this is straight up Riot propaganda. You do not gain Omnivamp. You can check your stat graph for proof. Aatrox simply heals for the percentage of the damage he deals. I don't know why Riot changed it, because before it displayed the tooltip correctly. Once again, I wish Riot just fixed the tooltip. Your ultimate ability, the World Ender. Aatrox reveals his true form for 10 seconds, gaining increased damage and increased self-healing. He also grows in size and takes flight, gaining a ghosting effect and a burst of movement speed that decays rapidly, getting a takedown reverses the duration and the effect by 5 seconds, but it does not exceed over the original 10 seconds. For runes, unfortunately Aatrox doesn't have many choices. Conqueror is your best in slot. It offers you adaptive damage and once fully stacked, you heal for 9% of the damage you dish out. One of its positives is that it is always available. It does not go on cooldown after you stack it, unlike some other keystones. And it also scales well throughout every phase of the game. Fleet is very useful combined with Second Wind and Doran's Shield start to negate early champion poke. Especially good versus ranged matchups such as Vayne, Quinn or Kennen. The healing is nice. and the movement speed increase is also good. It helps you to kite or to catch up or to even reposition for your Qs. The problem of playing Fleet is that you always play to out-sustain your lane opponent and to ruin any hope of them killing you by a constant poke. So after laning phase ends, Fleet footwork starts to fall behind. Electrocute is good for one to do small trades. It is effective versus ranged matchups. They are squishy and don't have high health gain per level, but bruisers and tanks do. Even if you get to snowball because of it, it falls off hard because realistically you won't be building any lethality items on Aatrox. He isn't an assassin, he likes to be up close and personal to soak and sustain damage he takes. That's why Conqueror or Fleet just do a better job at this. Also, going Domination 3 blocks you from getting either Precision or Resolve, you have to pick either this or that. And Domination 3 is just straight up underperform, they suck. Also, if you proc Electrocute on the wrong target at the start of a team fight, you lose its value and are essentially runeless for most of the fight. First Strike suffers from the same issues as Electrocute. You are forced to pick either Precision or Resolve. The gold gain is nice, but after you proc it, you are essentially runeless. Aatrox doesn't blow up people like Zed or Weep Form King does. He loves to be in the fight for as long as he can. Her true damage does seem appealing versus tanks, but after the first set of rotation, it goes on cooldown. Also, the rest of the traits are decent, but they are not that good either. Glacial Augment is nice, but most of its effects are wasted if you're not playing as support Aatrox. In solo scenarios, such as the top lane, other than guaranteeing you get your debris to pull, you have no other benefit to this keystone. And once again, once it goes on cooldown, you are at a disadvantage. Lethal Tempo is bad on Aatrox. Aatrox isn't an attack speed oriented champion anymore. Maybe on the old Aatrox it would be best in slot for him, but on the current Riven 2.0 version, it is really bad on him. Grasp of the Undying. It underperforms on all levels because you can't constantly spam it. The HP increase is meh, and the sustain is there, but you already have that built in your kit. And assuming you are the better player and manage to get 30 procs for example, you get basically 150 HP, in other words a ruby crystal. Grasp is on the same level of Lethal Tempo, it does not work on Aatrox. So now going back to our primary keystone, you're going to take Conqueror. Again, it gives you adaptive damage, it scales well throughout every phase of the game, and it gives you healing or percentage of the damage you deal. Fleet Footwork is still a viable option against heavy poke comps that will try to deny you out of laning phase. So relatively speaking, you only have two viable options, either Conqueror or Fleet Footwork. For your secondary tier, you wanna go Triumph. Triumph is like an extension of Aatrox, restoring 12% of your missing health after a takedown, which can be amplified by your ultimate, giving you these super massive heals. On the third tier, you have two viable options, each giving you flat stat buffs. Legend Alacrity gives you attack speed, which is decent on Aatrox. Legend Tenacity just gives you guessed it, Tenacity. Go for this when they have heavy CC and you can't get Merc Threads. Legend Bloodline gives you Lifesteal. It underperforms compared to the other two traits. And in general, Aatrox heals more from ability casts than he does with auto attacks. For the last tier, always go for Last Stand. It's the one that gives you the most benefits. What it does is, it gives you more damage the lower HP you get. And the more damage you deal, the more you heal for Aatrox. Cut Down is only used for damaging tanks. Coup de Grace or Coup de Grace, however you pronounce it, just makes you deal more damage to targets that are low on HP. So unless you're playing Lethality, always go for Last Stand. For secondary runes, we are going with Resolve. The first tier is useless, but the second tier and last tier are what you are looking for, and they are enemy matchup dependent. Conditioning gives you bonus resistance stats. It is great if you're playing versus a passive scaling matchup, such as Nasus, Singed, or even Sion. Second Wind boosts your health regen after taking damage. It's amazing versus constant poke matchups such as the dreaded ranged zero skill ego-inflated wannabe top laners, or champions like GP, Mundo, or even Malphite. Bone plating gives you a defensive passive ability that reduces the first 3 attacks. It makes it harder for enemy champions like Camille or Renekton from going all out on you right from the start. For the last 2 you have Revitalize. Increases all healing and shielding you gain. This works on your self-healing from damaging enemies and it increases the lower you are. Go for this option when they don't have any CC or negligible amount of CC. Avalanching gives you a flat 10% tenacity and slow resistance, but it also increases the lower you get on HP, up to a maximum of 30%. It's a very good substitute for mercs if they only have AD champions. Overgrowth gives you bonus HP, but it underperforms compared to the other 2 choices, because other than giving you more HP, you don't get any more resistances or sustainability from it. Itemization. As of making this video, you have 2 main builds. First build, which is the most common build right now, is getting Gore Drinker into Death's Dance, the Force of Nature, and into Serylda's Grudge. You get a total of 70 CDR, high resistances from Death's Dance and Force of Nature, as well as movement speed. You get Armor Pen and Slow from Serylda's Grudge, and if they are full AD, you can swap Force of Nature with Randuin's. For the second build, you get Gore Drinker, and then Black Cleaver into Death's Dance, then Spirit Visage, and finally into Maw of Mortius. With this build, you get 115 CDR, way more than the previous build. You get a good armor shred and movement speed from Black Cleaver, you get increased healing from Spirit Visage, and you get a magic shield from Maw of Mortius, which is amplified by Spirit Visage. And additionally, if the shield procs, you get 12% Omnivamp increase until the end of the fight. You get increased healing from Distance Defy due to Spirit Visage's passive increase. And if you don't need Maw of Mortius, you can swap it with Randuin's or Gargoyle's Stoneplate. Some general itemization tips. In some cases, if you are playing against a beefy character that likes to stack armor, or in general has high base stats, rushing Black Cleaver first would be more beneficial than getting Gore Drinker. The armor shred helps so much and it's 200 gold cheaper, which might not seem much but it allows you to get it earlier. Hullbreaker seems like a tempting item on Aatrox, costing only 2800 gold, giving you 400 health and 50 AD. As well as the 2 passives which increase your resistances and deal extra damage to towers. But unless you're gonna ignore your team for the majority of the game, don't build this item. Aatrox is not a good speed pusher. He cannot destroy towers like Darius or Sett does. However, you can buy this item if you are trying to match your laner, deny them from getting your towers. I personally don't recommend buying this item if you are ahead. Only get Divine Thunder if they have at least 3 heavy tanks. Gore Drinker provides you the on-demand heal, increased CDR per items, wave clear, and helps with Broken Conqueror. As a side note, you should be building either Black Cleaver or Serylda's Grudge, so if they don't have multiple heavy tanks, don't build Sunderer. Eclipse can boost your lead, but it falls off heavily because it does not give you health or CDR. The shield is weak compared to the damage you usually eat up, or it gets wasted by your opener rotation. And Omnivamp is a useless stat on Aatrox because his Qs are AoE, therefore the healing is way less effective. Stridebreaker is only useful versus ranged champions that can easily kite you, and can get out of a W with relative ease. But even then, I won't recommend building Stridebreaker for one specific champion. However, if they do have multiple ranged champions, then going Stridebreaker is a viable option. One of the common issues I see right now, especially on bruisers, is that they are still building Styrax Gauge. Now Styrax has been nerfed to oblivion because Riot saw that Aurelia was way too tanky and basically unkillable with this item, even though Aurelia doesn't even buy this item, so they decided to ruin it for the rest of us. Styrax is a dead item. You are way better stacking up resistances than you are building Styrax and relying on the HP and the shield that it gives you. Aatrox's early game is at his weakest. You wanna prioritize farming over fighting. But if the enemy oversteps or walks up to last hit a minion, you should punish them. Take advantage of your increased range from your passive to poke them, or zone them out, or hit them with your Qs. Aatrox has the lowest base health regen in the game, so try to avoid taking unfavorable trades before you get level 3, preferably level 4, because once you have at least 2 points into your Q, you start to hurt and you start to heal noticeably more. Whenever you reset, you want to take Krugs or Grump whenever you are able. Krugs give you a lot of gold and they give you a good chunk of XP. However, they are hard to kill, so unless you are level 5 and you already have Iron Spike Whip, don't bother. However, you can kill Grump starting at level 4 without items. Grump is easy to kill and it doesn't do that much damage. Also, once you do kill it, it restores a good chunk of your HP. Combine that with your passive, you don't lose much HP at all. However, be sure that when you are going to get them, you don't lose much on minions and your jungler is not nearby. Because if you do decide to take them and the jungler is nearby, he'll most likely get tilted because it's been factually proven that junglers have the mental of a 4-year-old. So to avoid having the entire game ruined by one guy, leave the camps alone. If the jungler is nearby, leave the camps alone. Even though when they come and they have an unsuccessful gank, they take 2 waves plus cannon and steal 2 plates and drop the herald, taking your entire tower, but that is the way of life. Like, top laners are like the unspoken heroes of the game. They go through so much BS with their jungler and their bot lane that they can't really do anything more. Aatrox benefits more from levels, so try to focus more on farming minions than trading with the enemy laner. And also, wave management is a really crucial skill to have, but it's a pain to explain and this video is already way too long. So I recommend watching this guide made by Roku. He's a Darius main and I personally learned a lot from him, even when we have different mains. I'll have his video linked down in the description. Also, I have made a 20 tips and tricks video on Aatrox. So in case you want to expand your knowledge about Aatrox, I will also have the video linked down below. A couple of things to add. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And I dearly hope you learned something valuable from this, because that would mean I didn't waste away a couple of weeks for nothing. Because this video took, believe it or not, it took me 3 weeks because I was procrastinating like no ends. And also, I will be hosting an Aatrox skin giveaway for the upcoming new skin. So if you want to get in on that, join my Discord and keep an eye out on the giveaway tab. I will be uploading an announcement on it in the upcoming days. And finally, if this video gets over 300 likes, I will be posting a Prowler top lane Aatrox guide. So if you're interested in that, drop a like. And it would be really helpful if you would follow my Twitch, my Twitter, and all my socials, for that sweet dopamine kick.